Welcome to Kindness Stories, the place where we share the most inspiring true stories that show you how one small act of courage, a sprinkle of kindness, or standing up for what's right can change everything. If you believe that kindness is strength, that bravery comes from within, and that people can surprise you when you least expect it, then you're in the right place. Make sure you're subscribed and settled in, because today's story is one you'll never forget. It all started on a crisp Monday morning when a girl named Serena stepped through the gates of Green Valley High School for the very first time. Serena wasn't the usual new girl. She had just moved from a different state because her father's job transferred him to a new branch. In this sleepy suburban town, she had big brown eyes that seemed to hold secrets and a way of standing that made you think she was used to looking over her shoulder. Her mom dropped her off at the front gate with an encouraging smile, but Serena could feel her stomach twist into knots as she took her first steps onto the campus. She tried to blend in, pulling her long plaid skirt lower to hide the scars on her knee. Serena had a past she didn't want to talk about. Back at her old school, she'd been the target of bullying for months, mostly because she was quiet and didn't fight back. She'd spent countless nights crying herself to sleep, wishing she could stand up for herself, but never finding the courage to do it. When her parents decided to move, Serena thought it was her chance to start over. She made herself a promise that no matter what happened, she wouldn't let anyone push her around again. The halls were buzzing with gossip and laughter. Serena kept her eyes down, clutching her books like they were a shield. She found her locker, fumbled with the combination, and took a deep breath when she heard footsteps behind her. It was three girls, led by the self-proclaimed Queen Bee of Green Valley High, Amber. Amber was the definition of the word mean. Her hair was always perfectly curled, her nails painted blood red, and her attitude as sharp as a dagger. Flanking her were her loyal followers, Brittany and Chloe, who laughed at everything she said, even when it wasn't funny. Amber leaned against the locker next to Serena's, twirling a strand of her hair. "New girl," she purred. Serena nodded, not wanting to make eye contact. "I'm Serena," she said softly. Amber raised an eyebrow. Serena, her pretty name for such a plain skirt, she giggled, and Brittany and Chloe giggled too. Serena tried to ignore it, stuffing her books inside her locker, hoping they'd get bored and walk away. But Amber didn't get bored. She sniffed the air dramatically. "You smell that girl smells like fresh meat," Brittany giggled again. Chloe snapped her gum and added fresh meat for the lions. Serena felt her cheeks burn. She closed her locker and tried to walk away, but Amber stepped in front of her, blocking her path. "Where you going, new girl? We're not done getting to know you yet," Amber said. Serena could feel her heart pounding. She took a deep breath and said, "Please, I just want to get to class." Amber tilted her head mockingly. "Oh, look, she wants to get to class. How adorable. You think you're better than us." Serena shook her head. "No, I just don't want any trouble." Amber smirked. "Trouble's what you've got, sweetheart." That was just the beginning. Over the next few days, Amber and her gang made it their mission to break Serena down. They tripped her in the halls, dumped her books in the trash, and whispered nasty things when they passed by. Serena tried to ignore it, tried to remind herself of her promise. But each day it got harder and harder. She'd go home, look in the mirror, and tell herself, "Tomorrow I'll stand up for myself." But every time the moment came, fear tied her tongue. One rainy Thursday, Serena found a small note tucked inside her locker. It said, "Meet me behind the gym after school." Serena's stomach dropped. She knew exactly who it was from. She could have ignored it. She could have gone home, like always. But something inside her snapped that day. Maybe it was the memory of her old school, the nights spent sobbing into her pillow, the shame of always being the victim. Maybe it was the tiny spark of anger that she'd tried so hard to smother. She folded the note, tucked it in her pocket, and walked through the day with her head held a little higher. The final bell rang. Serena gathered her things and walked slowly towards the back of the gym. The rain had stopped, but the ground was still wet and muddy. She could see Amber, Brittany, and Chloe waiting for her, leaning against the brick wall. Amber grinned when she saw Serena. "You came," she said in a sing-song voice. Serena didn't say anything. She just stood there, fists clenched at her sides. Amber strutted forward. "You know, Serena, you're really starting to bore me. I thought you'd be fun to break, but you're just pathetic." Chloe laughed. "Maybe we should do something to spice things up," Brittany added. "Yeah, like give her a makeover." Amber's eyes lit up. "Oh, I love that idea." Serena took a step back. "Please don't," she said, her voice trembling. but Amber was already reaching for her skirt. In one swift motion, she grabbed the hem and yanked. The sound of tearing fabric echoed in the empty lot. Serena's skirt ripped right down the side, leaving her exposed and humiliated. The girls cackled like hyenas. Serena felt a surge of rage like nothing she'd ever felt before. The laughter faded into a dull roar in her ears. She saw Amber's smug face, saw Brittany's mocking smile, Chloe's phone recording every second. Something inside Serena broke free. She stepped forward and, without thinking, planted her foot firmly on the ground, pivoted on her heel, and launched a spinning kick she'd learned years ago in her brief stint at a local dojo. Her foot connected squarely with Amber's nose. There was a sickening crack. Amber screamed and crumpled to the ground, clutching her face. Brittany and Chloe froze, eyes wide. Serena didn't stop. She turned to Brittany, who was trying to run. Serena's foot caught her square in the jaw. Brittany went down, wailing. Chloe, the last one standing, dropped her phone and lunged at Serena, but Serena dodged, grabbed Chloe by the shoulder, and spun again. Her kick landed perfectly under Chloe's nose. Another crunch. Chloe dropped like a sack of potatoes. Serena stood there, breathing heavily. Rain starting to fall again. The torn fabric of her skirt fluttered around her knees. She looked at the three girls on the ground, moaning and clutching their broken noses. For the first time in her life, Serena felt strong. She felt powerful. She felt free. It didn't take long for word to spread. By the next morning, everyone at Green Valley High knew what had happened. Videos were all over social media. Some students cheered her on, calling her a hero. Others were shocked that the quiet new girl could do something so brutal. Serena was called to the principal's office. Her parents were called into. There was talk of suspension, even expulsion. But when the full story came out, when other students came forward with videos and testimonies about how Amber and her crew had been tormenting Serena for weeks, the narrative shifted. Amber's parents threatened to press charges, but quickly dropped it when they realized how much dirt there was on their daughter. The school gave Serena a 3-day suspension, not for defending herself, but for using excessive force. But to Serena, it was worth it. When she returned, people looked at her differently, not with pity, but with respect. Some kids who'd been bullied themselves came up to her, thanked her for standing up. A few even asked if she'd teach them how to kick like that. Serena didn't become the most popular girl in school. She didn't want to be, but she did make friends, real friends. One of them was a boy named Marcus, who'd watched the whole thing from a distance. He told her later that he'd been bullied by Amber too, but never had the guts to fight back. He and Serena started eating lunch together, studying together, and slowly, Serena began to open up about her past. She told Marcus about her old school, the sleepless nights, the fear that had once controlled her. Marcus listened, really listened, and for the first time, Serena felt like someone understood. The weeks turned into months. Serena's life changed. She joined the school's martial arts club, rediscovered her love for spinning kicks, and found a place where she truly belonged. The club coach, a former national champion, saw her potential and took her under his wing. He taught her not just how to fight, but when to fight, how to channel her anger into discipline, how to control her fear. She still had scars, emotional and physical, but they no longer defined her. They were reminders of how far she'd come. She even started speaking up at assemblies, sharing her story with other students. She talked about standing up for yourself, about finding your voice, about how sometimes kindness means being kind to yourself first. She'd say to the auditorium full of students, sometimes you have to kick fear right in the face. The kids loved it. They'd clap and cheer, inspired by the girl who once hid behind her locker. One day, months after the incident, Serena was walking through the halls when she spotted Amber. Her nose was perfectly straight again after surgery, but the sparkle in her eyes was gone. Amber looked away, embarrassed, her posse long gone. Serena could have sneered, could have said something cruel, but instead, she just nodded politely and kept walking. She learned that real strength wasn't just in her legs, but in